from several people the idea of planting like your life depends on it. And so we've sort of caught that fever. In this garden that we call our East Garden, right now we have dry soil. We have these weeds that will not stop. Their roots go down to China, or at least to Arkansas, I think. So what are we going to do? We really want to get this working. One of the things that Kevin did is he built these little mini raised beds, and we've got a bunch of onions growing in them. They're doing pretty well. We probably won't have prize-winning onions, but at least they're staying alive and coming along. It's only mid-April, so that's pretty good. Also, he has this one over here that has potatoes growing in it. I think these were some that we bought from seed potatoes, and he planted in here. One thing that we've been working on pretty desperately is to nourish the soil and to make some beds. So we added cow manure and topsoil and rabbit manure to our dry sandy dirt here. Look at that. It's just powder, and so stuff just doesn't grow well unless we really add to it. So we dedicated this bed for the zipper cream peas, and these have been in the ground, I think, a week. Right, Kevin?
I think so.
Okay. So 1 week, they're doing pretty well. This bed we planted about 2 weeks ago with Roma beans, a bush bean, and I'm seeing right here that something got in and ate the tops off of them, so I don't know how we're going to protect them, but at least they're coming up pretty well. Our project for today is to put down black plastic, weed block, ground cover, what do we call that, landscape fabric. It's the good stuff from Grower Solutions that lets water penetrate but not the weeds so much. One of our problems in the past has been growing squash. Other people have zucchini that is just growing so much that they have to give it away. They've lost friends for giving too much zucchini, I think, in the past, and they're dropping it off everywhere and donating it. We have not had that problem in the past. Ours starts to do well, and then it either gets mildew on it, or bugs get it, or something happens to it. So we have a new plan today, and our project today, one of the projects is to prepare this area so that we can plant these, but then we're going to put some of them in raised pots so that we can water them individually so that we can protect them, and yet they will be in the area of the garden. So, and they'll be protected from animals, although something got into our green beans. I don't know what that was. But anyway, they'll be up off the ground. Hopefully this will give us a good harvest for squash. We are trying to plant everything we can find in every place we can find, planting in different locations to see if one works better for us than another for a particular seed or plant product. We're planting like our life depends on it, so come along with us today and see how this all works out for us.
What Carol's doing right now is she's trying to get those weeds out. These are those nasty weeds we were talking about a second ago. It's a type of grass. We don't know what it's called, but it has roots. See that root?
They all pop up from the roots.
Yeah, they just sort of
several feet away.
Yeah, they grow a little bit and pop up, grow a little bit and pop up again. And when they do first start coming through the dirt, they look like little swords. They're pointed, and they go right through whatever's there. And so they're impossible to keep out. Even if we put weed block down, they still just grow right through that. If anybody's got any ideas about how to keep these things from growing through this stuff, send us a note. Let us know.
Here's one sort of like a spear.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that one's sort of pointy on the end.
But look how far it goes.
Yeah.
Goes all the way outside the fence.
The root just keeps going. Yeah.
And then it broke off.
This is the area that we're going to be putting some of those pots that Carol was just talking about.
We're hearing a lot of thunder. There's a big storm coming in, so we're feeling the pressure to get as much done outside as we can before that lightning comes close. So here we are. Next stage, rolling out the landscape fabric. So Go for it, Kevin.
Big roll here.
Big roll.
3 or 4
Woo,
feet.
like a drum roll, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we'll have to cut it with the torch. We learned this from Kevin and Sarah at Living Traditions, that they use the torch to sort of melt the cut. I call it cauterizing. Isn't that a big word for me to be using on a Saturday? So that it doesn't fray. One thing about using this weed block fabric stuff in the garden is it'll last a long time, and it'll make our garden neater looking, I think. Guess what's in this box? You're right! These are staples. These are the long, I don't know, what are they, 6-inch long
Yeah, I think it's 6 inch.
staples that we use to hold down this ground cover weed block fabric. Lots of names for this stuff. Anyway, it helps to hold it tight. Not as tight in our soil or little sand here as it might be in other dirts or clays, but it works. So we'll get this all tied down to the end. Hopefully beat that thunderstorm. No pressure, Kevin.
Oh, no, not at all.
Work faster.
Faster, faster, faster.
Other people we see on YouTube videos with hammers or mallets to get this into their dirt. But, see, the good thing is this dry sand, we don't even have to use tools.
Yep. Okay.
We bought 18-gallon totes from Walmart yesterday because they were so much less expensive than buying big planters would be. So this will hold a whole lot of dirt for our pots, but we're going to cut holes in them for drainage, and rather than letting them drain directly onto the black plastic, we're going to put them up on these chunks of concrete that we had left over from where we busted up a landing pad off of our steps. So we can reuse that. They've got a nice flat top to them, and this will give us a lot of space to grow, hopefully, lots of squash. Maybe this will solve our Kevin and Carol can't grow squash problem. Well, I don't know if you can tell it or not, but we got quite a good rain. In 1 hour, we got 3/4 of an inch of rain. And so now we're returning to our project, and this step is for Kevin to drill holes into these totes that we bought yesterday. So take it away, Kevin.
All right. Okay, yeah. We're going to be putting drain holes in the bottoms of these totes. We call them totes. I'm sure there's other names for them as well. But we're going to be drilling holes in these so they can drain out. I think that what is going to be good to save time is we have 5 of these. And so we just put them all 5 on top of each other. And so I'm just going to drill a hole right straight through, and that way it'll do all 5 of these at one time. And that'll keep us from having to do each individual one by itself. So let's go ahead and do this. Right now I'm using a 3/16 drill bit to put the holes in. We're hoping that'll be big enough. If it isn't, we can always go back and make it bigger. So let's see what happens with this. There's 1. 2. 1 in the middle. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, I think it probably went through all of them, and let's find out. If it didn't, we'll take them apart. And it did. Don't know if you can see the holes, but we have 5 holes. We have 1 in each corner and 1 in the center. So now we have drain holes.
Okay, the next stage is because I worry that we're going to lose all of our dirt out these holes, or we could potentially lose dirt. So I cut some strips of the row cover fabric that we used in another video. This stuff really worked well to keep bugs out of our squash plants and cucumbers last year. As long as the stuff held together, we did very well with that. Then the other thing that we're going to do to save money is to use some chunks of concrete to take up some of this space. I think what we can do is use some of these smaller chunks in this pile that used to be our front step landing. And so if we put these in, that'll take up some of the space and yet save us some money. And they're already here and they're needing to be moved out of our front view here. So we'll fill this up first. Then the next idea is to take some of these small twigs and branches that we had in our, what do we call that pile, Kevin?
Burn pile.
Our burn pile,
Yeah.
our debris pile.
Debris, yeah.
So these have been collected and have been rotting, actually, for quite a while here. The idea with this comes from the hugelkultur idea, where you add them under your dirt and eventually they rot and become nutrition for your food that's growing. But also, some of these are very porous. This one in particular right here, you can see it is dried out and it's like a sponge. So that holds the moisture in to your soil for your plants to access, even if the top might not appear to be very wet. But deep down, then you will have moisture in here. So it's providing several functions as well as taking up space in here, so there again, we don't have to pay for as much dirt to fill these up. Okay, so next step, we think we will add some topsoil to fill this up with some dirt. We'll sort of do it in layers with topsoil and black cow manure, and then rabbit manure too. Now we've got the composted cow manure. That should be good nutrition for our little plants. Wow, lots of it. Kevin's feeling generous. Either that or the bag got away from him,
I think
which
that's
I think
probably,
is more likely.
I think so too.
One more layer of manure, which will be our fine rabbit manure that goes into everything and makes it grow so happy. Remember, we always repurpose our feed bags, use them to store our rabbit manure. The good thing about rabbit manure that we have read and learned is that you can use it straight without having to let it compost. It won't burn your plants. Last layer of our lasagna garden here, I guess, is going to be more topsoil. And then next stop, we'll be putting in our seedlings. Sure. So if you want to follow our specific recipe, what you can do is 1 bag of topsoil, about 1/3 a bag of black cow manure, and a good strong shake of rabbit manure in layers. We'll see how this goes. Can Kevin and Carol grow squash? The question is still out there waiting to be determined.
Well, we got these totes filled. We call them totes, tubs, buckets, whatever. We got them filled with dirt, and now we're getting ready to put the plants in them. We've got several things we're going to be putting in here. We're going to be putting zucchini, yellow squash, Seminole pumpkins, and there's another one I'm forgetting right now. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what we're doing with these bins with this dirt in it. I hope you can see this. This is where we're planting. And pretty much what we're going to do is, since this is yellow squash, we're going to just put probably 3 in here because they will spread. And Carol's hoping that they will probably grow over the sides of this and spread out, which they probably will. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can get this out of here and hold the camera at the same time and show you what we're doing. Okay, it sort of came out all right. So we're going to put these in here like this. And then we'll cover this up. I'm going to go ahead and dump the rest of the dirt that came out of that pot into there. And push that in. Like so. And there's one of them in the hole. And then we've got our little tag right there. It says yellow squash. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to put 2 more of those just like that in here. And we'll have 3 in here. And then I'll come back and show you what they look like when they're finished. So I got them all planted. I got 3 in each one. This one here is the Seminole pumpkin. This one is butternut squash. This one is zucchini. And then we have 2 over here that are yellow squash. So I'm going to get the water turned on, get these things watered in. But they're a little bit droopy, and I think that's just because of them being in the sun for a few minutes in the tray before I planted them. So let's get some water on them and see what happens. Well, we got our finished product here today. Wanted to show you what we have. This is actually a toque. This one actually is zucchini. One of the things we wanted to point out is, because of us putting these in these boxes like we are, they're actually portable. So you could move these around from place to place. Of course, they are quite heavy when they're full of dirt, plants too, but they can be moved from one place to another. This has been such a good idea for us that Carol wants to use this for other stuff as well. We're wanting to plant all kinds of things in these boxes now, but we don't have good dirt here in Florida in the ground a lot of times. So putting these in some good soil works out quite well for us. So we're thinking about a whole bunch of different things that we can put in here, like cucumbers, watermelons, cantaloupe, different things like that. So there's just a whole bunch of different things that we're thinking about putting in these. I visited our local feed store recently and discovered that they don't really have a whole lot of seeds in right now. And their explanation was that's because there's a lot of people getting into gardening now that have never gardened before. So if you're one of those new people that are trying to get into gardening, subscribe to our channel so you can learn all about gardening and how to raise things and how to have animals and all that sort of thing. We consider this to be like a mini raised bed. We have a prior video that we did on raised bed gardening, so go back and look at that. And this is kind of a small version of the same idea. It's just a box with dirt in it and plants, and it works out well. So check out our channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. Tell your friends and family about our channel, and if they're interested in it also, have them to subscribe. It would really help our channel out if you would subscribe to our channel. So until next time, thanks for joining us here on Hideaway Homestead.